Good evening and welcome to tonight's Common Council meeting for Tuesday, June 13th, 2023. Clerk will call a roll, please.
Tauschek.
Present.
Herman.
Here.
Matzdorf. Here. Gilson.
Here.
Hildebrand.
Here.
Penkwitz.
Here.
Shilsky.
Present.
Nelson.
Here.
Next is a pledge. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll on the consent agenda, please.
Nelson.
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
Matzdorf.
Yes.
Penkwitz.
Yes.
Tauschek.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Shilsky.
Yes.
Gilson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Next item is the audience portion where we have people sign in, and I see we have several people that signed in this evening. We appreciate that. This is where you do the talking and we do the listening. And typically we allow people 3 minutes to make their comments. You can either stand where you are or you can come up. There's a microphone in the middle of the room to pick up your comments. So with that, the first person that signed up is Jackie Potritz. Jackie.
I think I can talk to you.
That's fine. Just use your outside voice.
It's probably my inside voice. First of all, I want everyone to know that we are very thankful for everything that the Downtown Design Committee has been doing. I've thought about it over and over. I even went and talked to some people from Cedarburg, and I went and talked to some people from Sheboygan Falls. Although they feel that there's a lot good about it, they also feel that it's too much. In fact, a few people from Sheboygan Falls even quit the chamber, and one of them closed their business because they were not happy with it. I don't understand why we need to have this kind of a situation in order to have maybe a few rules about keeping your business cleaned up and, taking care of it. I mean, we have someone that approves the signage if someone wants to do a sign. I just can't get behind it. I'm sorry. I apologize. I appreciate everything. I really, really do, but I just can't get behind it. That's it.
Thank you very much. Next person that signed up, I hope I get this right, Shannon Brunette.
Brunette. I'm
Shannon.
just gonna sit over there, so I can address everybody. First of all, just thanks for letting me talk for a couple minutes here. I really appreciate it. Just like Jackie, I really also thank the people that have actually put on a lot of hard work into this, the design committee for the downtown design strategy. My wife owns Dreams Living Music Store downtown, and we're trying to be as big as part of these communities as we can be. We think that's very important amongst the younger generation of business owners that are starting to come into Plymouth, that we don't limit individuality. One thing I went to a lot of these meetings, when one of them at the firehouse, I was asked, would you really want someone to have the ability to paint their building pink with polka dots? I come from Nashville for the last 10 years. The biggest tourist attraction is Giant Purple in downtown, draws millions of people a year. So I'm thinking, I don't see necessarily a wrong thing with it, but I also don't see anyone painting their buildings pink with polka dots in Plymouth. We all want Plymouth to survive and get better and get busier. And the people that are putting this together, the same people that are putting a lot of other things that are amazing for the city together. But we also cannot get behind this. It just doesn't work out for the rules that restrict people to do things. We're told that if we want to make a change to the building, to not worry, we can get a loan with low interest as part of this thing. We don't want to go in further in debt. We don't want to go in things. It's very confusing on what you can and cannot do. I asked the gentleman at the meeting, both the gentleman that works for the city and the person that works for the consultant company, if the standards that were listed there would be the standards that you guys would be voting on. And they said those are examples of those standards. Some of them would be there, some of them would not. And I said, would you guys or us be able to see the standards, the exact standards that people are voting on before the vote happens? I was told no. And I was told that those exact standards would actually be decided after the vote. So something would be, in my mind, maybe I don't have the understanding on it, would be voted into law, and then someone else is going to decide on the specifics of that law without anyone else being able to vote on it. So I was really confused about that, and there seems to be a lot of items like that that we're all confused on. I talk almost every day with all our neighbors, with all the businesses across the street, up and down. My wife is very good friends with all these people. About 99% of them, well, I shouldn't say 99%, sorry. About 85% are ladies that own, either co-own or own outright the businesses downtown. And a lot of them feel like they haven't had a chance to make their voices felt towards this issue. And I have not met one single one that's for it. Again, I think the people that are putting this together are great people. I don't mean to just knock it down, but this seems like it's very incomplete from what we've seen. I also was listening, sorry, I'm usually playing guitar in front of people, not talking. I think I got rid of basically everything that was there. I just wanted to say that, like, yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much. Next person that signed up is Jessica Kinch.
Sure, that'll work.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm the new owner-operator out of 52 Stafford, and I'm very new to the community. I'm just getting used to kind of how everything works and what I need to do to be present and get involved. So from what I've understood about this document, again, thank you for everybody who's put work into that before I ever even entered into the scene or the picture. And from talking to all of my neighbors who own and operate businesses on Mill Street and in the downtown district who's impacted by this potential document going into play, I think there's a lot of fear, and fear can't generate change. And I think that the business owners want a little more say and they want a little more control, and I think that the best starting point is with that economic development position at the city, because that person should be the people person that gets the information from the local business owners about what they're for and what they're against and what they're scared of, and kind of brings everybody along and unifies everybody. Hey, Allie. Unifies everybody moving in the same direction, but in a progressive direction. And I think moving in a similar direction instead of a same direction is kind of what they're looking for. Like, they don't want to be boxed in to what their business should be defined as or how they should present their business, but more so have a guide to kind of say, you know, if your building is in disrepair, here are some avenues for you to take in order to get funding to improve that, right? But you can still improve it in the way that you would like to improve it because it's your business. And I think that everybody that owns businesses downtown care about the tourism, they care about the economic well-being of the community, and I think that you just need a person that is going to be in touch and work between the government and the businesses and the individuals that operate those businesses to kind of get on the same page and get people moving in the same direction. And I understand that that position is taxpayer money. It's business taxpayer money, and it's also community taxpayer money. But if you want the community to continue to grow and to start to thrive, then that's probably your first best investment as a community member in downtown as well as a business member downtown. That's all I have. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. The next person that signed up is Joe Van Derven. Joe?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in putting together the document, the committee kind of took the best interest of the community into putting that document together. As a resident of the city, I think it's important for the downtown to have kind of some regulations for economic development so that we can have a downtown that's nice and presentable for years to come. I understand the business owners and the concerns, but it was put together within, in the spirit of helping the community move forward from an economic development perspective. So, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Next person signed up is Patrick Campbell. Patrick?
Hi, Patrick Campbell. I own the Depot Restaurant in Plymouth. Indie weekend, it's really busy. I literally talked to 5 or 6 tables on my way out the door tonight. We are so blessed with having a wonderful downtown. Everybody so clean, everybody's so friendly. This document, I really don't know why it's even being put out, honestly, because we have the RDA, we have these other guidelines. Things can be tweaked, and I think we can go through them and get the job done. This economic developer, they drew the picture of the downtown, the downtown area, and it made it seem like, well, this guy's going to help the downtown, but all the development is going to be up east, right, where it's all getting done now. I think it's a little. I'm trying to find the word to say, like this gentleman said before, we got to pass it first to understand what it is. Well, you've had all these meetings, you made us go to these things, kind of a dog and pony show, and we get no information out of it. Well, this might be it, it might not be. We need some things that we can vote on up or down, and I just don't think this is it. It was tried 10 years ago, 10 years before that. I just think we can go in a better direction and tweak a few things, and we have a great downtown, and I love it here. We've been here 12 years. Most of the business people down there have been there 10, 15 years, and there's a reason, because we do a great job down there. There's always room for improvement, but the bottom line is we have an awesome town, and we all should be proud of it.
Thank you. And the last person that signed up is Lee Gentine. Lee?
Thanks, Mayor. Well, I am the miserable guy who has been involved in the 2 previous plans that were passed by this council, as well as this current one. We have a beautiful downtown. We are so blessed in Plymouth at this time. I think that the purpose of the standards, and I like to separate the standards from the economic development director and some of the other things that are mentioned, just principally from the standpoint that the standards were intended to provide some control over changes that were significant to the facade of a building. They were designed for, or they were drafted principally from what has been used in other communities. But the committee that would be formed still has a great deal of latitude to work with the building owner relative to colors, relative to materials, and so forth. And I think it's really worthy of consideration. As far as this not being the final document, the only thing that doesn't exist right now, this document is not in the form of a ordinance which would be enacted. This does not put in place these standards. Next step is to create these ordinances which have to be drafted, and that's what the council would ultimately be asked to approve. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much. We appreciate everyone coming, whether it's this item or a different item on the agenda or on the community's mind, to come and talk to the council and express themselves. That's what we encourage, and we certainly appreciate people participating. Moving on, item 5, no items were removed from the consent agenda. Item 5 is not needed. Moving on to item 6, and I think I will include 6 and 7 in my comments here as I call on on Police Chief Ken Rugels to take over items 6 and 7 and introduce a couple new officers and administer their oath. So, Chief, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, common council members, assembled public. We hope tonight to build on a tradition that we're going to start and maintain here of bringing forth our new members before the council and community as a whole. In a police officer's career, some moments stand out no matter how long they work, starting with their swearing in when they take their first oath of office, sometimes when they're promoted, as is one of the cases tonight, and of course, in my case, just a couple weeks ago, becoming a chief of police. So the oath of office signifies what our job is, what we owe the community we work for, that bond of dedication, sacrifice, and service. And so we hope by doing this in front of you all and the community as a whole that we symbolize that commitment both for our officers and for the community, and that in introducing them to you, we become more of a family and a better bond is made between us and this community. So if I could have Deputy Chief Starker join me here, he's going to conduct the actual introductions, and I believe you want to have Anna come down now. I'll let you do it.
And if you want to just come on down. And this time I'd like to invite Officer Justin Walsh and his wife Taylor up here. So real quickly about Justin. Justin started with our department May 1st of this year. He graduated December 22nd from LTC. Previous employment was he worked at Aurora Medical Center in Sheboygan for 2.5 years, where he was a security officer, and he also worked part-time for the Ozaukee County Sheriff's Department until his hiring date with us. Also, Justin is a volunteer firefighter for the town of Sheboygan, where he's been in that position 9 years, and he is currently at the rank of lieutenant. Currently, Justin is in the FTO program during our day shift. He's way ahead of where we would anticipate anybody to be, so keep up the good work. We appreciate it. And just on Justin's short time with us, he's also been a part of several life-saving calls in our community. So with that, I'd like to have Anna give the oath of office to Justin.
You may raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear
I, Justin Walsh, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and faithfully discharge the duties of police officer
and faithfully discharge the duties of police officer
of the City of Plymouth to the best of my ability.
of the City of Plymouth to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Very good. Congratulations. Thank you.
All right, next I'd like to invite Kristen Dolly and his wife Nicole up. On a personal note, I've known Chris for 20 plus years, so. All right, Chris graduated from Fox Valley Technical College in 2019. Before that, he worked with the Department of Corrections for 19.5 years. He was kind of hubbed in the Plymouth area, so he's familiar with this area. He then went on to work 4 years for the City of Sheboygan Police Department. Some of Chris's certifications are he's a crisis intervention officer, along with a negotiator. So some of his hobbies that he likes to do is he volunteers for both youth and high school hockey. He's been doing it for 20 plus years. Currently, he is on the second shift where he's doing his field training, and when he's completed with that, he'll be our third shift full-time lieutenant. On a side note, Chris also wanted me to let you know that he thinks he's a proficient outdoorsman. I have witnessed that. He is pretty good. So with that, I'd like to invite Ann up for the oath of office for Chris.
All right, raise your hand and then repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Chris Null,
do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and faithfully discharge the duties of lieutenant
and faithfully discharge the duties of lieutenant
of the city of Plymouth
of the City of Plymouth
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anybody want to say any words? Chris?
Chris, you want to introduce who else you have with you?
Yes,
Your lovely family?
I have my wonderful wife of going on 18 years with me, Nicole, my mother, who lives in Green Lake is with me, and then my oldest son, Cohen, and my youngest son, Connor. I've often said this is coming back to Plymouth, feels like I'm coming home. I appreciate the opportunity and look forward in serving the city of Plymouth.
I just want to say thank you to all the community members and the city of Plymouth for giving me the opportunity to be able to serve you guys. I look forward to meeting a lot of you guys and to seeing you guys in the street. If you see me out, make sure you stop and say hi. If I don't remember your name, I'm very sorry. I have met a lot of new people these past couple of weeks. So I just want to say thank you, and I look forward to meeting all of you guys.
Don't forget to introduce your wife.
Yeah, and your mother-in-law.
Yes. This is my wife Taylor and my mother-in-law Tina.
Thank you, Chief. It sounds like we have a couple excellent officers joining the force, and we certainly look forward to their participation in the community. And we hope we don't see you here again until your next promotion. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief. Moving on to item 8, resolution number 10, approving the compliance maintenance resolution to the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, CMAR. And we have Director Austin of Public Works with us tonight. You want to give us a little summary on that, please?
Sure. So the compliance maintenance annual report is a required DNR report that's required by the end of June. Part of that requirement is to have it reviewed and approved at the council level, which is why it's before you tonight. So in all categories, we were meeting expectation. We did test 1 month with copper that exceeded, but we do think it's just an abnormality. We don't know why. Our numbers are back within compliance right after, so we're not sure what caused that, but we did get doctor clinicals for that. But other than that, we're fully in compliance. The DNR and our relationship is good, and they're happy with how things are going.
Good, thank you very much. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the report.
I would like to make a motion to accept the report. Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Those are nice numbers, too. Appreciate that and all the work that goes into it. Moving on to item 9, new business. Approve reciprocal dark fiber IRU agreement with TDS Metrocom LLC. I'll ask our city administrator, utility manager Tim Blakesley for a brief summary. This was introduced at the finance meeting earlier this evening and forwarded on to council for approval. Tim.
Perfect. And I just did want to let everyone know, particularly the folks here for the pinning ceremony, you're obviously more than welcome to stick around and learn about the TDS fiber agreement, but you're also more than welcome to leave at any time. So just a heads up for you. So So tonight we have the TDS reciprocal dark fiber IRU agreement. Right now, TDS Fiber is completing an installation in the city of Plymouth. The project is going to take approximately 3 years to complete. In March, we did approve a pole contact agreement, so that's for any overhead TDS fiber lines. They connect to our Plymouth utility poles, and they pay us a fee for that. So over the past several months, utility staff, along with our attorneys with Boardman Clark, have been negotiating with TDS on terms for this reciprocal dark fiber IRU. In kind of plain language, that's a fiber swap. So we own city fiber up to Johnsonville. Not all of that is utilized. So TDS would be utilizing a portion of the unused fiber to Johnsonville to complete their fiber loop. In return, TDS will install fiber to the golf course and pool for the city. The benefits to the city of the pool and golf course will be eventually being able to accept credit cards at those locations, city network access, and then access to the city phone system. TDS will construct that fiber to the pool and golf course no later than June 30th of 2024. The agreement does include provisions for testing. We are responsible for routine maintenance, but TDS will handle emergency repairs on their fiber and our fiber as part of the agreement. The initial agreement length is 22 years and is attached for review and approval. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss.
I'll move that we approve the reciprocal dark fiber agreement with TDS Metricon.
I'll second the motion.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll, please, on the approval of the dark fiber IRU agreement.
Herman.
Yes.
Matsdorf.
Yes.
Shilsky.
Yes.
Pankwitz.
Yes.
Gilson.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Tauschek.
Yes.
Hildebrand.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 9B, we have a presentation and discussion and some then a possible action by the council for a discussion on a downtown design strategy. So with that, I'll ask our city administrator, Tim Blakeslee, to give us his presentation, please.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor. All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about the Plymouth Downtown Design Strategy. So in 2021, the City of Plymouth formed the Downtown Design Ad Hoc Committee to provide recommendations to the Common Council. So I'm going to go through a brief presentation, and then we can kind of discuss procedure and next steps. So just to begin, this is the downtown planning area that was included in the design strategy. So this area really includes properties along East Main Street to the north, Collins Street to the south, the Mill Pond to the east, and Spring Street, Milwaukee Street to the west. So this will kind of give you a reference for what area we're talking about as we discuss the downtown design strategy. So the planning approach, so again in 2021 the ad hoc group was formed with the intention to provide recommendations to council, and so these are the recommendations that are coming forward. The process to establish these recommendations, we're evaluating existing conditions, analyzing community needs, a review of past planning efforts, a discussion with ad hoc members, and then input received through stakeholder meetings and open house events. In addition, 22 successful downtown communities are included as part of the case study research, and that was included as one of the appendixes to the document. The project had 10 objectives, so I'll just kind of read through those quickly. Promoting economic development into commercial core, providing clear objectives for those planning and designing development within Plymouth, promoting original and high-quality design, promoting building and site design that fits the context of Plymouth's downtown, protecting the historic character and value of the downtown core, promoting sustainable design principles, increasing awareness of design considerations, enhancing the character and function of the downtown streets, promoting compact walkable development patterns, and maintaining property values within Plymouth. So all that being said, in the document before you, the committee came up with 6 primary recommendations. The first of those recommendations is the standards and guidelines and a new downtown overlay district, and I'm going to talk about that more in a little bit more detail in just a couple of minutes. Kind of a sub-bullet to that is an architectural design subcommittee of the Redevelopment Authority. So this subcommittee would review some of the more complicated projects and then basically review and approve those prior to construction. The third item is hiring an economic development director in the city of Plymouth. This is I would say, a relatively common position for larger municipalities in the state. And it's sort of trickling down to smaller municipalities in the 8 to 14,000 range at the current time. Right, if this is something I had budget tomorrow, I would probably hire. It's a position that pays for itself by retaining and attracting business in Plymouth. Oftentimes that's maybe split with a communications position. Maybe it's 2 roles in one. Likely it's something that's probably a few years down the line, but the recommendation here is something to plan for that in the future. Improving the city of Plymouth's facade and signage grant program. Through the RDA, we have a small facade and signage program. It provides, I think, $250 and $500 grants. With inflation, that program probably has not kept up. So it's probably time to revisit that program and see if maybe additional awards should be, or additional size of awards should be considered. Evaluate installation of placemaking elements to improve the look and feel of downtown. If you go to some downtown municipalities, there's signage, additional signage showing where specific businesses are, restrooms, et cetera. We have some of that downtown, but the recommendation is to continue to approve on that. The sixth recommendation is forming a steering committee to establish a downtown business improvement district. This isn't going to, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, establish a bid, but really talk to downtown business owners, see what they want from a bid, and how to move forward. So now I'm going to kind of go through a little bit more detail about what the document does and does not do, and I'll kind of provide some commentary as I go through. So the document does request Common Council adopt it as a planning guidance strategy really over the next 3 to 5 years. This document does not become law if it is adopted. It is really a strategy document. Obviously, adoption of the document would direct staff to move forward with these priorities, but again, council can change their opinion and policies at any time. It does become a planning tool for Common Council over the next, again, 5 years, but again, does not require Common Council to enact every recommendation should in the future the policy of direction of Common Council change. It does identify possible funding sources for the recommendations, but again, does not require Common Council to allocate funding for every recommendation. That's part of the budget process on a yearly basis. The council would have to approve any big projects as part of this, as part of the budget. And we kind of briefly touched on this. It does recommend the city investigate the option of a bid to study with property owners, but does not create a bid when this is adopted. It's just a strategy document. Something, again, we're going to touch on a little more detail later is the potential design standards. So it does identify potential design standards, but it does not create these when it's adopted. So design standards would require a zoning code approval through the Plan Commission and Council. What I would say is this document provides the bones or the infrastructure of what would be used for a future zoning code amendment. So if you look through the downtown design strategy, there's like 8 or 9 sort of recommendations and strategies, facades, signs, infill, et cetera. That would provide the kind of the plan moving forward. But it would still have to go to Plan Commission as a zoning code amendment and then eventually council for approval. It does recommend the city create a subcommittee to provide some flexibility with these design standards. With the goal, it does not create a rigid system for design standards. It would really be applicants that come through would work with the committee similar to applicants working with Plan Commission now. It does recommend the city create a fast-track system for minor building changes if these design standards were adopted. For example, signage, you pull a sign permit. It would be one of the things as part of this program. As part of pulling your sign permit, it would be approved as part of the fast track. It does not require any current structure to make changes, and if design standards are adopted, current buildings are grandfathered. It does allow like-for-like changes without any city approval, if the design standards are adopted. And it does not require all projects to include all elements of the design standards. There are certain elements that are recommendations only. We kind of touched on this a little bit. It does recommend the city hire an economic development director, but again, it does not require the council to do so, nor provide funding for an economic development director. It does not require the funding of an economic development director to come from a downtown bid. The bid would really be responsible, if it was created, working with the city, creating a bid project plan. It does provide suggestions for downtown placemaking and grant programs, but again, it doesn't require the council or RDA to make those changes. So that's kind of a brief rundown of really what this document is and what it does and does not do. Obviously, one of the key components is the design standards, so I'm going to kind of walk through those, and this is the kind of the big list that's in the document, just 4 examples of them. This one is the storefront facade, so it's item 4. Each element includes a must or a may. So in this instance, it's a must, so really all storefronts are going to have a facade. So storefront facades must be included in a redevelopment, and facade changes would be required to follow the standards, again, if these were implemented as part of the zoning code amendment. In this case, storefront facades do not include that fast track. And the items in black are the requirements that would be included as part of a zoning code amendment. And the items in blue are just best practice recommendations. Example 2 is signage. Again, signs must be included as part of a redevelopment project, and a new design or sign changes would be required to follow these standards. In this case, it does include that fast track option, so if it meets the standards that are listed in black, as part of pulling your sign permit, likely the building inspector would sign off and move forward. The items in blue, again, are just recommendations. Another example is decks, patios, and porches. Obviously, not every building in the design area is going to have a deck, patio, or porch. This item is listed as a may in the document. It does include, again, that fast track, so pulling your, pulling your building permit is something that the building inspector could sign off on. And then the items in black, again, are the requirements, and the items in blue are the recommendations. Just the last quick example I'll provide is a new infill building. This would be really a new large development, a tear down and rebuild of an existing downtown building. It must follow these standards. It does not have that fast track process, so that would require the development or design committee to review and approve. Again, the items listed in black would be the requirements, and the items listed in blue are the recommendations. So those are just 4 examples of the list that are included in the document, but that's sort of how that document works. So who must comply with these? Really, it's intended to apply to non-residential multifamily development, additions, remodels, redevelopments in that downtown overlay district with the map that we talked about right at the beginning. Who does not worry about these are the new and existing single-family developments, so they're exempt as part of these design standards. So support for property owners should some of these elements be enacted. Again, that fast track element to really keep things moving. There's possibility of a kickoff grant program or a low interest loan program as part of our revolving loan fund. It's something we could spin off and create if there was interest. Again, that design committee is intended to be supportive and flexible of any projects, and then staff would obviously be supportive and flexible. Really, the next steps are common council review. So I'm going to kind of run through, and I have a potential kind of motion sheet in front of you. The other item as well is a survey that was conducted. So the survey was sent February, March to downtown property owners. It was also posted online, I believe shared with several groups. I can't say that this survey is a representative sample of all property owners and residents, but really it's just a data point you can use for consideration. So kind of talking through procedures, the Common Council should again discuss and possibly take action on the design strategy. I talked with Attorney Fieber throughout the last week about possible motions, and again I have this motion sheet in front of you, so I'll kind of run through those. So the first one listed is a motion to adopt the downtown design strategy. This motion would signify the Common Council approval of the document, both factually and in the recommendations. Adoption would signify to staff to begin work to implement the recommendations, pending the availability of funding, availability of staff resources, and continued direction on the council's various, basically council recommendations. There's a motion to adopt certain strategy elements of the document. For example, if you like, the economic development director and the adjusting the grants or reviewing the grants, that could be an option. One that was added here recently was a motion to just file with the clerk's office. This motion would signify that Common Council would like to have discussion on the document tonight, but not to direct staff to implement the recommendations. It would really signify an end to staff for the project. Individual items could return for discussion, based on the future policy direction down the line. There's also the option to make no motion tonight. The mayor would basically report that this has been received by the clerk. Staff would request future direction on the project if there was any desire to pursue some of the information or recommendations from the committee. Other just procedural item, talking with Attorney Fieber. If you do make a particular motion, you may vote no, but Robert rules, you cannot speak against your own motion. So just a point of clarification for tonight. Other than that, I'm kind of finishing up the presentation and happy to answer questions moving forward.
Thank you very much, Tim. This has been a long and involved process, and certainly a lot of time and energy has been spent into this, and the city has invested some funds into it. And as noted, it has been before prior councils years ago as well. So we're trying to get a good direction in this situation. So with that, the chair will entertain a motion, and I'll call in Alder Hildebrand for a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to file the documentation with the clerk's office, and that would signify to staff the end of the project and not be implemented into any ordinance or law type form. Documents would be filed and then the project and be unused.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second discussion. Any questions of the council and/or of Tim, explanations or other information that you might want?
Yeah, I have a question. Sensitive to the business owners' feelings about the project. I noticed in the examples, and you said there's like 22 cities or something like that.
Yep.
Most of them are much larger populations than Plymouth. So what's behind the feeling, the need for a city our size to have something like this?
So I think the vision of the committee was not looking at Plymouth how it is now, but looking at Plymouth maybe 10 years, 20 years from now as Plymouth grows. As our comprehensive plan shows, we're due for a boom here in housing development over the next few years, possibly as many as 1,000 new housing units over the next 20 years. So the goal, I think, is looking forward for the downtown.
Thank you.
Any other questions? With that, the chair will call for the question. Roll call, please.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Nelson,
No.
Penkwitz,
What are we calling for? The end of it? The end of it?
We're calling for, to file it with the clerk's office. This would signify the end of it at this point. It doesn't mean that parts could not be brought back at some future date.
Yes.
Mattsdorf,
No.
Tauschek,
Yes.
Gilson,
Yes.
Shilsky,
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
And our vote count is
6 yeses, 2 nos.
6 yeses and 2 noes. Motion is carried. Thank you very much, everybody, for participating in this. And if there's any questions, we can follow up with the clerk's office and/or Tim for further discussion or information. Thank you all. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move adjourn.
Second.